Discover the incredible secret that turned a dishwasher into a millionaire chef in 30 days. In the small town of Maplewood, life was like a gentle breeze, easy and steady, yet sometimes too slow for dreamers like Sam. At just 26, he found himself hunched over a sink full of greasy plates, the bubbling water mixing with anxiety and hope. Every scrub of a pan was another whispered wish for the future, another flavor envisioned in his mind. Sam longed to be a celebrated chef, sharing his passion for food with the world, not just scrubbing the remnants of someone else's meal. His grandmother understood, her wise eyes always sparkling with belief in his culinary dreams. She often said, "Food brings people together, Sam. Don't ever forget that." But reality was tough. Folks in Maplewood were friendly, but they also had a knack for spotting a peck of dirt on ambition. Sam felt the weight of that judgment. Shining shoes and crisp shirts across the diner reminded him he was just a dishwasher. It stung to see the divide every single day. Yet, he poured his heart into secret recipes during his breaks, hoping to cook his way out of obscurity. Then, one fateful day, everything changed. A renowned food critic stumbled into the diner, barely glancing over the menu. When he tasted Sam's twist on an old classic, a savory braised beef with caramelized onions and creamy polenta, he was taken aback. Sam had never expected anyone, let alone a critic, to savor the flavor bursting from his creations. He watched from the back, heart racing, as the critic scribbled notes. Just like that, in a blink, the diner transformed overnight. Lines wrapped around the building, hungry patrons eager to experience not just a meal, but the magic hidden within Sam's dishes. Buoyed by that encouragement, Sam decided to enter the local cooking competition. He could feel justice humming in his bones, a chance to prove himself. But whispers of doubt echoed in his mind. They couldn't see past his apron and plate-scrubbing hands. "What can he do?" they'd mumble, dismissing him before he had a chance to show what truly lived in his heart. The competition day dawned, tension thick enough to cut. Sam's hands shook as he diced ingredients for his first dish. But when that first plate went to the judges, it fell flat. Heavy disappointment weighed him down. As doubts circled like vultures, he teetered on the edge of giving up. It was the words of his family that saved him, their steadfast support driving the flame inside him back to life. "You can do this, Sam. We believe in you." Their voices rang in his ears, laced with love and passion. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a fierce determination blooming inside him, Sam stood before the crowd, words bubbling forth from his heart. He spoke about food as a bridge, about tradition intertwining with innovation. He shared his grandmother's sacrifices, the flame of her love igniting his passion. The judges watched, captivated, while murmurs of surprise swept through the audience. This was a young man rising, calling out against the odds. Could he truly transcend the expectations weighing down on him? As Sam prepared for the climax of the competition, doubts loomed overhead like storm clouds. This was his chance. With emotions swirling, he reached for his final dish, a reflection of his journey, crafted from heart and sweat. All that remained was for the judges to taste, and he held his breath, poised for what could either be destiny or disaster. Sam's hands trembled slightly as he plated the final dish. The delicate arrangement of vibrant vegetables, the deep, rich sauce, and the succulent piece of braised beef was more than just food. It was his story. As he carefully set the plate in front of the judges, he felt a sudden weight of time passing. Would they see it? Would they understand? He couldn't help but sneak a glance at the panel. Their faces were inscrutable, eyes narrowed slightly, as they examined the dish. In that silence, the room felt worlds away, like he was standing in a void, waiting for a lifeline to be thrown. When the first judge took a bite, Sam's heart leaped. He held his breath, hoping for a sign, a smile, anything to hint that his dream hadn't slipped away into the dark like so many dishes before. The judge chewed slowly, processing the flavors, and Sam could see him nodding. Relief washed over him in a wave. The second judge, a woman with striking silver hair, took her turn. As she tasted, a small gasp escaped her lips. "This is extraordinary," she said, eyes glinting with surprise. That simple word echoed through the space, ringing in his ears like a chorus. As others started to try the dish, Sam watched their expressions change. Surprise, delight, and then realization. Perhaps they were beginning to see him, not just the greasy hands of a dishwasher, but as the artist he wanted to be, a creator, a maker of memories through meals. The applause that followed felt surreal. The cheers blended into a beautiful cacophony that wrapped around him like a warm hug. In that moment, everything he faced, the doubt, the whispers, the harsh reality began to dissolve. They were replaced by the sound of encouragement and hope. Standing on that stage, just him and his dreams, he realized something profound. The competition wasn't merely about cooking. It was about breaking through barriers, changing perceptions. Sam's heart raced with exhilaration. He was a contender now. But could he truly seize this moment and turn dreams into reality? Then the head judge stood and cleared his throat, the crowd going silent once again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've witnessed something extraordinary today. This young man didn't just cook. He bared his soul. His passion is contagious, and his dish tells a story. So, it's with great pride I say." A dramatic pause hung thick in the air. Sam could almost feel the collective heartbeat of the audience, pulsing with anticipation. Just then, a sudden commotion erupted from the back of the room. A loud crash disrupted the silence, and someone shouted, "Wait, there's something you need to know." A figure staggered forward, red-faced and breathless. Sam's stomach dropped. Just when he thought the tide had turned, the clouds shifted ominously once more. What could this interruption mean? Would it unveil secrets that could threaten his fragile moment of triumph? Sam steadied himself, ready to face whatever truth lay ahead, knowing that the stakes had never been higher. The figure emerged from the shadows, a young woman with a determined look. She looked out of breath but resolute, her eyes fixed on the judges, then darting to Sam. A hush swept through the audience, tension thick enough to feel as if the air itself held its breath. "Please, just let me speak," she gasped, her voice unwavering despite the panic simmering beneath. The head judge's cool demeanor shifted slightly. For a moment, his authoritative facade wavered. "Go on," he said, taking a step back as if giving her room was the least he could do. "I'm Tara," she continued, her gaze fierce. "I know him. I know Sam." The crowd buzzed at the revelation. What connections lay beneath? Tara pushed forward, her voice rising over the murmurs. "He deserves to be here, but there's something you all need to understand, something no one knows." Sam's heart raced. What could she possibly say? His mind swirled with confusion and dread. Tara had always been a friend, but she also carried secrets he thought were buried in the past. He took a step forward, anxiety gripping him now. A few months ago he was drowning, stuck in a kitchen situation that felt hopeless. "But I saw something," she said, gesturing to him passionately. "He was more than just a dishwasher. He was my brother. I watched as he poured everything he had into cooking, living in a cramped apartment, struggling to make ends meet." Gasps rippled through the audience. Sam's breath caught in his throat. His sister, who had stood by him through thick and thin, was revealing their life struggles. She continued, "But what you don't know is that he was working towards this moment, battling self-doubt and a tough past to finally make it here." Tara's eyes glistened as she moved. "I remember days when we barely had enough for a meal. He would spend hours experimenting with his ingredients, dreaming about this competition, this chance to show the world what he could truly do, to prove that he could rise above our circumstances." Tears brimmed in Sam's eyes at her fierce words. This was the heart he feared was hidden, now laid bare for everyone to see. The judges listened, their expressions softening. The head judge's brow furrowed, a hint of empathy flickering across his face. "Is this true, Sam?" he asked, his voice gentler than before. Sam's throat felt tight. He had to respond, but how could he sum up his journey in a moment like this? "Yes," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's all true. Tara's right, cooking saved me. It's my escape, my passion. I wanted to show everyone that no matter where you start, dreams are worth chasing." Tara moved closer, her hand reaching for his. Sam felt a surge of gratitude and love. The audience seemed caught in the moment, their breaths held as they absorbed this deeper narrative of brothers' struggles, a sister's unwavering faith. The head judge looked around, visibly moved. "This competition is about more than just a dish," he said slowly. "It's about stories, and yours is incredibly powerful." Suddenly, without any warning, the lights flickered. A loud bang echoed, shaking the foundation of the moment. It startled everyone. Sam's heart raced again, but now it wasn't just nerves. It was uncertainty etched deep inside him. What other surprises lay ahead? What would happen next? Would the chaos unravel all this newfound hope? Or could it fortify their bond even more? The air was thick with unanswered questions, leaving Sam poised on the edge of a narrative that could dramatically change everything. The crowd's anticipation crackled in the air as the judges exchanged glances, their previous expressions now clouded with uncertainty. Tara's passionate defense hung in the balance, but the thunderous bang was a reminder that unpredictability was as potent as any culinary creation. Sam's heart pounded, not just from fear but from the electricity of Tara's words. "What's happening?" he whispered, half to himself, half to Tara, who gripped his hand as if she could ground him. Her eyes darted toward the flickering lights, anxiety creeping in, but she quickly masked it with a determined fire. Before anyone could react, an official stepped forward, seemingly unfazed by the chaos. "Everyone, please stay calm. We're experiencing technical difficulties, but we'll get through this," he shouted, attempting to restore order. The audience murmured, glancing at each other, faces lit with confusion and fading hope as the hum of chatter filled the room again. The judges moved aside, whispering intensely amongst themselves. Sam felt a surge of frustration. Here he was, vulnerable and opening up about his past, and now this chaos threatened to overshadow everything he and Tara had bravely revealed. Tara leaned closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Sam, don't let this distract you. You've come too far. Remember why you're here." The sincerity in her tone fought against the rising tide of anxiety within him. He took a deep breath, steeling himself against the noise swirling around them. He could feel the weight of every gaze, every whisper from the judges to the audience, all waiting to see how this would unfold. Sam's chest tightened as uncertainty encroached, but a new thought sparked from the depths of his mind. What if they turned these obstacles into strength? Tara's words echoed louder than the chaos. "We're not just stories, Sam. We're a legacy. Show them why you're here." The lights flickered back to life, and as they brightened, so did his resolve. He stepped forward, shifting his focus to the judges. "Before that noise interrupted us, I wanted to say, I know I'm not just a dishwasher. I'm a chef. I've put my heart, my soul, my all into this craft. And I won't let anything take that away from me." His voice rang out, steady and confident, making the crowd pause again, surprised by the strength infused into his words. Sam realized he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for everyone who had ever been underestimated, everyone who had been trapped in their circumstances. The head judge nodded slowly, impressed by Sam's sudden newfound poise. "Then let us hear what you've got," he replied, his tone serious but inviting. But as Sam opened his mouth to speak, another loud crash echoed through the hall. The crowd gasped, eyes wide. Something felt off, wrong, and Sam felt a wave of dread wash over him. This wasn't just noise. This felt intentional. What could possibly disrupt their moment? He looked around, concern etching itself into his features. The whispers grew louder, panic rising. Now more than ever, Sam could feel the stakes rising. His dreams were at risk. But so was the very foundation of everything he and Tara had fought for. What was going on? Who was behind the chaos? In that moment, as uncertainty loomed, Sam realized this was only the beginning. He could either crumble under the pressure or rise to meet it head-on. The question lingered in the air. Was chaos waiting to unravel them? Or could it be the very catalyst that pushed Sam to reclaim his dream? Only time would tell as the lights dimmed yet again. The crowd's murmur swelled, pulsing with a mix of fear and curiosity. Sam could feel the tension wrapping around him like a heavy fog. The judges were distracted, their eyes flickering between the audience and the source of the noise. Sam's heart raced, a relentless drumbeat in his chest. "Focus," Tara hissed, squeezing his hand tighter. Her eyes burned with the fire of determination, and in that moment, it felt like they were two warriors ready to charge into battle. Taking a deep breath, Sam tried to channel the energy of their shared struggle. "I'm ready," he whispered. "I just need to finish what I started." Just as he turned back to the judges, another crash echoed through the auditorium, this time followed by frantic whispers erupting from the audience. A figure stumbled from behind the curtain, half hidden in shadows. The hue of uncertainty swirled around that person like a storm, and flashes of panic skated across the faces looking on. "What is this?" an audience member yelled, their voice slicing through the chaos. Sam's eyes narrowed, focusing on the figure. It was a young man, his clothes tattered, dirt smudged across his cheek. He lifted his hands, palms out, as if trying to calm the room. "I'm sorry. I tried to stop it. Someone is sabotaging the event." Gasps filled the air, and disbelief hung thick as the audience struggled to process his words. Sam's stomach dropped. Sabotage? It sounded outrageous, and yet, part of him wondered if it could be true. "What do you mean?" Tara stepped forward, her voice steady amidst the shaking ground of uncertainty. The young man took a few steps closer, desperation flashing in his eyes. "I overheard some people planning to disrupt the event. They think if they create chaos, they can discredit the finalists and take down this competition. But I know you too. You have talent." He looked directly at Sam and Tara, his gaze intense with urgency. "You can't let this stop you." Tara turned to Sam, a mix of disbelief and excitement on her face. This was wild. It was messy. But maybe, just maybe, this was the push they needed. Sam's heart surged. "Let us play their game," he said, energy radiating from him. "If they want chaos, let us turn it into inspiration. We've come too far to give up now." He glanced back at the judges, who were finally starting to process what was happening. Their eyes were wide, uncertain, but his own determination ignited something within him. The head judge shifted in his seat, perplexed but intrigued. "What will you do?" he asked, his tone still skeptical yet open. Sam stepped forward, embracing the moment. "We'll cook. We'll make something incredible while the chaos unfolds around us. If they want to drown us in distraction, we'll rise above it, together." The crowd shifted, something electric crackling between Sam and Tara, and he could feel the pulse of unity surging through the audience. "Together," the young man echoed, his voice rising above the clamor. Sam looked at Tara, his heart racing. They shared a nod of understanding, sparks igniting within them. In that moment, they found their purpose again. They weren't just competing. They were representing everyone who ever fought against odds. But as Sam turned back to the judges, a shadow appeared at the edge of the stage, a faint outline of someone watching, someone who seemed to be pulling strings from behind the curtain. The crowd was still buzzing, uncertainty weaving through the air. But in that charge of energy, one haunting thought struck Sam, who was really behind this chaos. As they prepared to take on the challenge ahead, one question lingered in his mind. Would they be able to rise above this looming threat and cook up something extraordinary? Or would they fall victim to the unknown forces at play? The judges exchanged nervous glances, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue as they began to comprehend what was happening. Sam felt the weight of their gazes, a mix of pressure and promise. The urgency in Tara's grip burned through his skin, a signal that they were about to launch into uncharted territory. "All right, we're cooking," he declared, the words spilling from his mouth like a mantra. Tara stepped beside him, her resolve sharpening the edges of what felt like an impossible task. The young man who had burst onto the scene watched with wide eyes, his mouth curling into a small smile of encouragement. "Grab the ingredients," Tara shouted, and that action sparked a frenzy. Sam pointed to the tables piled high with fresh produce, meats, and spices. He could feel the adrenaline kicking in, pushing away the fear that had threatened to paralyze him just moments before as they weaved through chaos. Sam's mind raced with possibilities. "Let us make something bold," he said, grabbing a handful of herbs. "Let us create a dish that will tell our story." Tara nodded, already shaking off the weight of doubt. "We'll use the spices for warmth and bring in flavors that people love." They moved like dancers, complementing each other's movements instinctively. Sam chopped vegetables, his hands flying as they became an extension of his passion. Tara sautéed, the sound of sizzling filling the air while the smell of garlic mixed with the sweetness of peppers danced around them. But even as they worked, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that shadows lurked just beyond the stage lights. He glanced over his shoulder, searching the dark corners of the auditorium, but found only the growing intensity of the crowd, murmuring with excitement and unease. The judges leaned forward, their curiosity visibly piqued. Sam couldn't let them down. The moment was crucial. They had to rise to the occasion, turning the chaos into a culinary masterpiece. Every slice of the knife punctuated his determination. He could almost hear the echoes of encouragement from the audience, their whispers building a rhythm that matched the pounding of his heart. They were rooting for him and Tara, ready for them to turn this disaster into triumph. "Sam." Tara's voice broke through his concentration. He turned to see her holding a vibrant green sauce, glistening beneath the stage lights. "What do you think? Should we layer this flavor for depth?" "Yes. That'll bring everything together." He smiled, feeling the connection between them spark anew. Each second spent working side by side strengthened their bond, both in the kitchen and against the unseen foes waiting to dismantle their dreams. Suddenly, the young man who had warned them stepped closer, his voice low but urgent. "They're watching you. Be ready. You're not just cooking for the judges anymore. They want to see you fail." Sam's stomach twisted. Who's behind this?" Before the young man could respond, a new gust of chaos erupted from the back of the auditorium, a flurry of shouting that sent fresh ripples of panic through the audience. Sam's nerves tensed. It wasn't over yet. With time slipping away, he locked eyes with Tara. "We can't let them win. Let us finish strong." They poured every ounce of sweat and heart into their dish. As the seconds ticked down, the atmosphere shifted, the audience caught between breathless anticipation and fraying nerves. They couldn't just cook. They had to create magic. And just as they plated their final masterpiece, the realization hit Sam like a thunderclap. This was it. The moment they would fight back, not only for themselves, but for everyone who believed in them. But as he looked out at the judges, he felt a chill. The shadow at the edge of the stage had shifted, and now something darker was looming over them. Would they be able to serve up success amidst the chaos swirling around them? Or would the very forces trying to undermine them strike once more before they could even present their dish? The final seconds ticked away, each one heavy with anticipation. Sam could see the flicker of awe on the judges' faces, but he could also sense the tension in the air. The shouts from earlier were now more subdued, replaced by whispers and hurried glances exchanged among the audience. "Just breathe, Sam," Tara whispered, her eyes laser-focused on their plated creation. "We've got this." But that shadow loomed larger as the atmosphere thickened. Sam glanced again towards the dark corners of the auditorium, searching for the source of his unease. The young man who had warned them was still there, but now he seemed to be engaged in a whispered conversation with someone barely visible. Sam felt a pang of apprehension. It was as if a storm was brewing right behind him. With a steadying breath, he directed his attention back to the judges. "All right, Tara," he said, his voice carrying the weight of resolve. "On 3 we present our dish." They moved in unison, lifting their plates as one. Tara met Sam's gaze, her determination radiating like sunlight breaking through clouds. 1, 2, 3. Their masterpiece gleamed on the plate, a vivid collage of colors and textures. It was more than just a meal. It was their story, infused with each cherished memory of family dinners, late-night culinary experiments, and a relentless spirit. Judges, Sam began, his heart pounding. This isn't just food. This is us, two people who refuse to let fear dictate our dreams. Before he could get a full read on the judges' reactions, the young man in the shadows stepped forward. "What are you cooking up, Sam?" It was a loaded question, one that seemed to carry unspoken implications. Sam swallowed hard as the crowd grew silent. They were hanging on to every word, every movement, as the tension twisted in the air. "We're cooking a dish of hope, resilience, and friendship," Tara chimed in, her voice unwavering. "It's a reminder that we all have the power to fight against our struggles." The judges exchanged glances, the skepticism still present but beginning to melt under the warmth of their conviction. Slowly, one judge leaned forward, lifting a fork to taste their creation. The sharp metal gleamed as it pierced through the vibrant layers of flavors they had crafted. The hush settled over the room as the judge took a bite. The world around them seemed to blur, and Sam's breath hitched in his throat. Time stood still as he locked eyes with Tara, sharing a fleeting moment of hope and fear. What if it wasn't enough? Then, as if all the tension had burst like a bubble, the judge's eyes lit up. The reaction swept through the audience like wildfire. Murmurs of approval rippled across the rows. Eager voices whispered questions, excitement bubbling over like champagne. "There is something happening here." The judge finally spoke, his voice rich with intrigue. "This dish, it takes me places. Tells a story. What do you call it?" "Home," Sam replied, the word tinged with emotion. In the crowd, someone gasped. The young man whose warning had echoed so ominously took a step back, his expression shifting to something that resembled respect or perhaps something deeper. But before any response could follow, the flicker of movement behind the scenes caught Sam's eye again. A figure slipped away, just as the shadows seemed to close in once more. The crowd erupted with applause, but Sam felt a pulse of dread growing. Something felt unfinished as the judges deliberated. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were only scratching the surface of everything that was unfolding. "Listen," Tara said, breaking through his thoughts. "Whatever is happening, we can handle it. We have to stay focused." And just as she finished her encouragement, the lights flickered ominously. A sudden commotion surged from the back, bringing everyone's attention to the source of the restlessness. With a growing knot in his stomach, Sam turned to Tara. "What's going on back there?" Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, and the room fell eerily quiet. Sam's heart raced as he recognized the face staring back at him, someone he never expected to see again. "Let us just say," the figure announced, their voice dripping with a blend of nostalgia and hostility. "The real game has only just begun." What would happen next? Could they navigate the brewing storm that threatened to disrupt their hard-fought moment? Or would this unexpected return shatter everything they had worked for? The air was electric, charged with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Sam's heart raced as he stared at the figure, disbelief mingling with dread. It had been years since they crossed paths, yet here stood the ghost of his past Ryan, his former best friend turned rival, with a smile that spoke volumes of the chaos yet to come. "What are you doing here?" Sam managed, his voice barely above a whisper. Tara's hand found his, squeezing it reassuringly. She could feel the turbulence inside him, the memories swirling like storm clouds. Ryan stepped forward, his demeanor calm, but eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. "Oh, just here to liven things up," he said, feigning nonchalance. But the tension in the air thickened, heavy with the weight of history. The judges exchanged nervous glances, caught off guard by this unexpected twist. Murmurs rippled through the audience, the excitement shifting to confusion. Sam's stomach churned. What did Ryan mean by the real game? "Listen, Sam, you think this was just about cooking?" Ryan's voice rose slightly, gaining traction, pulling the audience in. "No, this competition has layers, my friend, ones you're only beginning to understand." Tara's grip tightened around Sam's hand. "Don't let him get to you," she whispered, her eyes steely. He nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that their moment was slipping away. "We worked hard, Sam replied, finding his voice amid the whirlwind. This dish that's what matters. Instead of refuting him, Ryan laughed, a sound that echoed ominously around the room. Sure, but in this world, hard work alone doesn't cut it. You need something more: strategies, connections. If you truly want to succeed, you have to be willing to take risks. The audience seemed mesmerized. Ryan's confidence ignited intrigue. Even the judges leaned in, caught between skepticism and an unquenchable thirst for drama. Sam felt exposed, his heart pounding against his ribcage, fear and determination battling within him. And what exactly do you propose? Sam shot back, fueled by both anger and adrenaline. Ryan smiled, a glint of challenge in his eyes. How about a little wager? If you can show me, and this esteemed panel, that your dish truly deserves to win, I'll back off. But if you lose, we take this up a notch. Think of it as a culinary duel. A gasp echoed through the crowd, eyes darting back and forth, absorbing the brewing tension like a sponge. Sam felt Tara's breath hitch beside him. Duel? Was this how Ryan intended to disrupt everything they had worked for? What's the catch? Sam probed, suspicion curling in his stomach. He wasn't an idiot, he knew Ryan too well. Simple, Ryan said, leaning in closer. If I win, you agree to join me in a venture I've been working on, a chance to break into the culinary elite. If you win, I walk away for good. Sam's mind raced. A part of him wanted to refuse outright. Yet, that same part knew they had already risked so much. Time for you to think fast, Sam. But don't worry, I'll give you a head start. Ryan quipped, stepping back as if already claiming the victory. The judges looked at one another, curiosity gripping their expressions. They knew a good show when they saw one. Well, folks, declared the head judge, it looks like we have a situation on our hands. Shall we allow this duel? Tara turned to Sam, worry etched on her face. Are you sure about this? It risks everything. He felt the weight of her gaze, the world swirling around him. Did he believe in their dish, in their story? Or was he willing to risk that for Ryan's challenge? As the audience buzzed with excitement, Sam took a deep breath, his mind racing with possibilities. I'm in, he declared, the determination rising within him. Let us do this. The room erupted in applause, anticipation igniting like wildfire. But as Sam prepared for this unforeseen battle, a nagging voice in the back of his mind whispered a warning. What if there was more to Ryan's challenge than met the eye? In the midst of all this, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a trap, and the stakes were far higher than he could have ever imagined. Would this gamble bring victory or plunge them into chaos? As the challenge loomed ahead, the crowd's anticipation crackled around him. Sam wondered if the real journey had only just begun. Sam stood at the center of the kitchen stage, the air thick with tension. The judges' expressions were a mix of excitement and skepticism as they adjusted their pens and prepared to score the upcoming duel. Tara's hand remained tightly clasped in his, grounding him amidst the storm of emotions churning within. All right, folks, you heard it, the head judge announced, raising his voice to cut through the noise. We have a culinary duel on our hands. Sam versus Ryan. The judges will score each dish based on presentation, taste, and creativity. Let the competition begin. Sam's stomach twisted. The words felt like a declaration of war. He watched as Ryan sauntered to his workstation, exuding confidence. Sam had never seen him like this, so cocky, so sure of himself. It was infuriating, but it also ignited a fire deep within Sam's gut. Focus on what you love, Tara urged, her voice soothing yet firm. Let us show them what we can do. Taking a deep breath, Sam nodded. They had poured their hearts into this dish. It was more than just food. It was a representation of their journey, their dedication. As the clock began, he hurried to gather his ingredients, adrenaline rushing through his veins. Every moment was precious. He chopped vegetables and stirred sauces, his movements sharp and intentional. He could feel Ryan's gaze on him, surveying his every action, and it made him even more determined to showcase their efforts. On the other side, Ryan was speedily constructing his dish. It was bold, laden with extravagant flavors and garnished like it was meant for royalty. But would that be enough? Sam couldn't shake the feeling that Ryan was playing with fire. He had always been the risk-taker, whilst they, Sam and Tara, prided themselves on the authenticity of their cooking. Time ticked away mercilessly, each second feeling like an eternity. The audience became a living entity, their gasps, whispers, and applauses blending into a symphony of anticipation. Sam grabbed a touch of seasoning, adjusting the balance of flavors in his mind. He sensed Tara hovering by his side, her quiet presence bolstering his resolve. "Remember to let your dish tell a story," Tara whispered, brushing back a strand of hair from her face. "That's what connects with people." Sam smiled, her words breaking through the pressure. He thought of their late-night experiments, their laughter over failed recipes, and the thrill of discovering new ways to twist old techniques. "All right, let us make it count." Just then, he noticed Ryan smirking while carefully plating his dish. The look on his face was one of triumph, like he already saw the victory within his grasp. A sudden rush of anger welled up in Sam's chest, but he tempered it with focus. He couldn't let Ryan's bravado sway him. With seconds to spare, Sam finished his own plating. The vibrant colors of their dish burst forth like flowers in bloom, the aroma intoxicating. He stepped back, unsure of what awaited them next. The moment was fragile, filled with both hope and fear. "Time. Hands up." The head judge called. As the competition drew to a close, the judges approached each dish, scrutinizing with discerning eyes. Sam's heart thudded in his chest, every heartbeat echoing in his ears. "Now," the head judge began, "let us see what Sam and Ryan have crafted for us today." The crowd leaned in, breathless with anticipation. Sam caught a glimpse of his dish under the bright lights and felt an overwhelming swell of pride. Tara gave his hand a faint squeeze, her eyes sparkling with belief. But as the judges sampled each dish, Ryan leaned in closer, whispering something to one of them. Sam's stomach clenched. Was he planting seeds of doubt? Or had he devised a strategy so sneaky that it could turn everything upside down? "What's he up to?" Tara's voice was tense, but Sam's thoughts remained focused. The room was alive, and with every bite the judges took, Sam felt the stakes rise higher. It wasn't just the competition anymore. It was about their future, their dreams wrapped up in flavors, with the judging complete and the crowd murmuring in nail-biting anticipation. Sam's heart raced as time ticked away. What if they lost? What if Ryan had set out a trap so cleverly he'd turned their own passion against them? As the judges began to deliberate, the room fell silent. Sam felt a pit forming in his stomach, anxiety swirling like 1,000 whispers. Would they be denied everything they worked for? Just when he thought he had prepared for anything, he saw Ryan's smirk deepen. The uncertainty loomed over him like a storm, ready to explode. What devastating twist could be waiting just around the corner? The silence was deafening, and Sam's heart hammered in his chest. The judges were locked in discussion, their faces etched with thought. Sam could almost feel the weight of their scrutiny like a cold fog. "This is it," he whispered to Tara, his voice laced with nerves. Her grip tightened around his. "Whatever happens now, we've come so far." Suddenly, the head judge stood, clearing his throat. The anticipation shifted in the room as all eyes fell on him. "We've deliberated, and it's clear we've witnessed something unique here today. However," he paused, drawing in a long breath, "this competition is not just about culinary skill. It is also about resilience, determination, and authenticity." Sam's heart soared at the word authenticity. He believed in that. He believed in what he and Tara had created together, a true representation of their journey, of their bond, and of their souls. "I've tasted both dishes," the head judge continued, an earnest tone filtering through the words. Each presented superbly, full of passion. The creativity in Ryan's dish was impressive, but one dish told a story that resonated with us in a way that the other did not. For a brief moment, Sam dared to hope. The audience held their breath, locked in this suspended reality. The head judge looked toward their table, eyes fierce with intensity. "Sam, Tara, your dish home captured a deep emotional essence. It was more than just a meal. It was love, hardship, and raw talent laid bare. Cheers erupted from the crowd, but the fleeting moment of joy was cut short. Ryan's face twisted, a flicker of rage dancing in his eyes. That's unfair. I won't let this end like this. You all know my dish was pristine. Tara's eyes shot to Sam, both startled and cautious. What's he going to do? I have no idea, Sam murmured, feeling the specter of unease rising once again. Excuse me. Ryan's voice pierced the air, booming with indignation. If we're playing the storytelling card, how about we talk about honesty? The truth in a story. Sam is just a washed-up dishwasher pretending to be a chef. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Shock mingled with anger. Sam felt heat creep into his cheeks. The sting of Ryan's words curdled in his stomach. Ryan, the head judge replied, his tone sharp, this is not about tearing others down. Oh, but it is. If you want a true story, let us talk about who really belongs in this world. Ryan's voice held the audience captive, manipulating the tension into something darker. Sam could feel the pressure surge higher. This fight wasn't just about winning, it was about dignity, passion, and the strength of community. Everyone has a story, Sam spoke, his voice rising above the chaos, quivering but firm. I faced the doubt. I felt the weight of being underestimated, but I kept pouring myself into what I believe in. That's what made this dish special. His words floated in the air, settling like a breath of fresh air amidst the storm. The audience's expressions shifted, the murmurs turning from confusion to solidarity. Ryan's smirk faltered, but he wasn't done. Sam and Tara, let us be real here. You're not what people expect. You're the underdogs, put on a pedestal for entertainment value. The audience shifted again, but Tara stood tall. Why isn't it honorable to be an underdog? We may start low, but we rise because we work hard. You don't understand what it's like. The crowd erupted once more, voices of support crescendoing together. Enough, shouted the head judge, his patience wearing thin. This competition is meant to lift people up, not tear them apart. What we've witnessed today is not just about culinary skills, but about heart. And Sam, Tara, you've shown us that heart cannot be contaminated by jealousy. A murmur of agreement washed over the room, nods of support echoing from the crowd. Then the head judge turned to Sam and Tara. Your dish home is the winner. Cheers erupted, the room exploding with applause and joy. Sam and Tara embraced tightly, their hearts soaring together as validation washed over them. A flood of warmth replacing the doubts they both held for so long. Ryan stepped back, his facade crumbling, disbelief clouding his features. You'll regret this, he spat, then turned, storming out into the chaos of the audience. Tara watched Sam, unshed tears brimming in her eyes. We did it. A radiant smile broke across Sam's face. It was finally happening. This was their moment. The celebration enveloped them as cheers erupted, and people rushed forward to either congratulate or support. But as the crowd buzzed, Sam found a quiet moment, reflecting on everything he'd faced. He felt a soft tugging at his heart, a connection to every struggle, every gaiety, every tear, and each triumph he'd ever embraced. Food brings people together, he whispered, almost to himself. It was a reminder rooted deep inside. His grandmother had been right all those years ago. As he gazed out at the crowd of smiling faces, the joy that enveloped him was a release, an accomplishment more potent than any triumph on a plate. He lifted others as he had risen, and in that moment, he recognized the power of hope, resilience, and love. They had not just won a competition. They had sparked a transformation, a flame born from the heart that would continue to shine brightly ahead. Now, Sam wasn't just the dishwasher from Maplewood. He was a rising chef, a beacon of hope for every dreamer who dared to believe. And as he stood, surrounded by supporters, he knew this was only the beginning. The audience dispersed, but the magic lingered in the air, a reminder of the incredible journey they had experienced. Sam looked at Tara, her eyes shining with purpose. Let us keep sharing our story, he said, filled with newfound vigor. Always, Tara agreed, her heart racing with excitement for what lay ahead. This was just the start. Their dreams weren't finished yet. They were only building momentum. And as the lights dimmed to a soft hue, Sam made a silent promise to hold onto that fire. There would be more to come. But before you go, listen up. You need to subscribe now to catch the next incredible stories that will inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach even more dreamers out there. Comment below with how you felt about Sam and Tara's journey. Let us celebrate their victory together. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this transformation. Let us keep this spark alive.